You stop fighting the symptom and start listening to the reason. You stop reacting to the outcome and start asking questions. You understand that even if someone is annoying you, they are not against you. They are for something else. The moment you truly see the other side, a small kind of magic happens. The other side no longer needs to fight in order to be heard, because war begins when there is no seeing. Peace begins when there is. And between us, most conflicts don't need couples therapy. They need glasses, because once you really look at hair cells, they stop being a problem and become partners with an agenda. So what do we actually see when we look at hair cells without a razor in our hand and without anger? What is a hair cell? The ancient role of hair cells. The gatekeeper hair cells were born long before mirrors, razors, and Instagram. They are a product of a world where the body needed to survive, not look good under artificial lighting. Their original purpose was clear and non-negotiable: physical protection. Hair served as insulation from cold and heat, a barrier against harsh sun, protection from friction, injuries, and micro-traumas. In intimate areas and underarms, hair reduced friction, protected delicate skin, and helped prevent infections. Not decoration, protective equipment. A hair cell is a service unit, not aesthetics, not a whim, not an evolutionary mistake. It exists in order to respond to what's happening around it. It doesn't run on autopilot. It responds. Alarm system. The hair follicle is connected to nerves. A slight movement of a hair equals sign information to the brain. Bug, wind, threat, the hair moves. The brain wakes up. An early warning system. A biological motion sensor. Regulation hair helped regulate. Temperature, moisture, sweat. Evaporation, identity, and belonging. At an ancient level, hair also signaled sexual maturity, sex differentiation, an evolutionary message. This body is functioning. It was a billboard for a healthy nervous and hormonal system. And what does the hair cell think today? It still lives by the same ancient code. If I'm here, there's probably a reason. If the body broadcasts stress, fear, insecurity, or a need for protection, the cell interprets that as, we need more guarding. Not because it's stubborn, because it's loyal. The story of a hair cell is a story of loyalty. At some point, the body said, protection is needed here. And the cell took that as a life mission. It doesn't know trends have changed. It doesn't know lasers exist. It only knows, this is my assignment. Its simple desire is to be useful. Its goal is to serve the body according to the latest information available. And here's the catch. If the information isn't updated, it keeps producing. Not to spite you, out of responsibility. The why of the hair cell. It doesn't ask, why doesn't she like hair? That concept doesn't exist for it. It asks, why am I still needed here? As long as there's no clear answer, it assumes the answer is yes. Keep going. So how do we collaborate with the body and hair cells? Not through force, not through destruction, not through punishment, but through 3 very undramatic and therefore brilliant steps. The cell receives signals through neural entry points at its base, and communication happens through conscious emotional states where the general tone is recognition. I see you. I understand you're not a mistake or acting against me. Information update. The role you fulfilled has been completed. Hair production is no longer needed. Permission to stop. You're allowed to rest. You're not disappointing anyone. When the cell realizes there's no threat, no confusion, no need to prove its presence, it stops producing. Not because it surrendered, but because it received a calming signal. Hair might be one of the most hard-working employees in the body. No one ever told it, thank you, we're done. No need to keep working. You can take a permanent vacation calmly. Once you understand this, it's hard to go back to treating hair and hair cells as just biological material. The language of hair cells. How they actually hear hair cells don't understand words. They're not impressed by emotional speeches. They understand signals. Their language is made of 4 main components. 1. Physical sensation. Hair cells have sensors for heat, pressure, friction injury. When there is pulling, burning, cutting, the message received is threat. Increase defense. Not stop, but fight. 2. Nervous emotional state. This is the loudest language they hear. Stress, tension, disgust. War with the body translate to, the environment is unsafe. Presence is required. Calm. Breathing. Acceptance. Translate to, it's safe. No danger. This isn't philosophy. It's physiology. 3. Repetition. Hair cells learn from patterns, not one-time events. An action repeated, day after day, without drama, without change, gets encoded as truth. So, repeated war equals sign the threat is permanent. Repeated stop signal equals sign the situation has stabilized. The cell doesn't ask how intense it is, it asks how often. 4. Consistency between message and experience. If you say everything is fine, but the body is tense, rushed, anxious, the cell believes the body, not the words. It reads what's happening, not what's being said. So, how do you speak its language? Almost embarrassingly simple. A feeling of calm, slow pace repetition, one clear message, no need to produce anymore, no persuasion required, no ultimatums, just a status update. One more important thing about the other side. A hair cell isn't trying to defeat you, it's trying to fulfill a role. And once you understand its language, there's no need to shout. Just change the tone. And in a funny, sad twist, most of us fought our hair for years when all it wanted was for someone to finally speak to it in a language it understands, for someone to manage the situation toward calm. The fear that maybe hair cells don't care. This isn't fear about hair cells. It's a very human fear of, what if I speak and no one listens? When you live a long time feeling unseen by people, the brain generalizes, if humans don't listen, why would cells? Here comes the twist. And it matters. Hair cells don't judge you, not by appearance, not by worth, not by importance. They don't check if you're deserving of being heard. They simply respond to what's happening. That difference is huge. How do you know hair cells listened? Through small, quiet changes. Growth slows down, hair texture changes, thinner, weaker, less mission-driven, a sense of calm in the area. Even hair removal becomes painless, including in the most sensitive areas. It's not, I heard you. It's more like, update received, adjusting. What if they're indifferent? Cells are not indifferent. Indifference is an emotion. Cells have sensitivity. If they didn't care, they wouldn't react to waxing, lasers, cutting, hormones, stress. The fact that they respond with pain, growth, recovery, is proof they care deeply. A final, beautiful point: cooperation with the body is sometimes the first place a person experiences. I said something, and it mattered. Not because the cell is nice, but because there's no hierarchy here, no ranking, no audience, just a system responding to what exists. If we had to sum it up in one gut-level sentence, a hair cell doesn't need you to believe you deserve to be heard. It only needs you to keep speaking, as if it's obvious. Because biologically, it is. What happens to the other side when it's understood? When you understand a hair cell, it doesn't get excited, it calms down, and that difference is enormous. Understanding doesn't make it say, wow. It makes it say, oh, so there's no danger. I can lower alertness. And when alertness drops, the need to protect weakens. The need to prove presence disappears. Production lines become unnecessary, not because you ask nicely, but because the conditions that justified them no longer exist. The response of the other side to understanding is quiet, and in the body, quiet is an action. Why do we have to understand the hair first, not the other way around? Because this isn't a symmetrical system, and it's important to say this without blame or fantasy. One, it wasn't built to understand us. Hair cells weren't designed to interpret intentions, dreams, or values. They were designed to detect environment and respond. They are not a side in a discussion. They are an execution system. Asking them to understand us is like asking a fire alarm to understand that you just lit a match. It won't. It will beep. 2, we are the conscious ones. We are the only side that can see the bigger picture. Know the world has changed. Understand the protective need is no longer relevant. The cell doesn't know it's 2026. It only knows stress, calm, repetition. Whoever has perspective carries responsibility. 3, real power doesn't demand understanding. It gives it. In mature systems, the more conscious side is the one that lowers violence, not because it's weak, but because it's capable. Understanding hair isn't surrendering to it. It's stopping a war with something that doesn't know another way. And what does this do to us? When you understand hair, you stop feeling attacked. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? You return to management, not victimhood. This may be the deepest part of the chapter. The hair doesn't change first. The relationship changes first, and the body always follows the relationship. One sharp summary line. We don't understand hair, so it will listen to us. We understand it, so we stop yelling at a system that doesn't know what yelling is, only what threat is. And when the threat ends, the need to protect ends. See you in the next chapter.